on Wall Street, how long can Nvidia's dominance last when it comes to AI chips? And the marketplace, as we know, is only getting increasingly more competitive. Here's what Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang told Altimeter Capital's Brad Gerstner on his podcast yesterday.
To me, when I think about a computer, I'm not thinking about that chip.
Right.
I'm thinking about this thing. That's my mental model, and all the software and all the orchestration, all the machinery that's inside. That's my computer.
Right.
And we're trying to build a new one every year.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Insane.
Nobody has ever done that before.
Right.
We're trying to build a brand new one every single year, and every single year we deliver 2 or 3 times more performance. Mm-hmm. As a result, every single year we reduce the cost by 2 or 3 times.
Huang also dismissed the idea of Nvidia being the next Cisco, which was at a similar position in the late 1990s and famously lost market share. He also said that computing tools, the need to curate more data, all underscore the important role Nvidia is playing. And he does not think AI will eliminate jobs. He looked at Nvidia, for example, which employs 32,000 employees with plans to get to 50,000 with 100 million AI assistants, which he says will increase the company's overall output. He also praised Elon Musk for the speed at which he's building a supercomputer in the span of 19 days, which he says typically takes about 3 years to plan, guys.
100 million AI assistants for the what? For the 50,000 employees that he expects?
Exactly. He's growing. He's looking to hire more people, go from 32,000 to 50,000. But coinciding with that, building out these AI assistants, which will help them run these models and launch AI applications.
Can they keep up that pace of a new offering every year? Is that sustainable?
That's the big question, right? With Blackwell, we are seeing those delays. Of course, we'll be getting earnings in November to get a better picture on the timeline and how much revenue they expect next year. But that's the timeline, is every year a new product that will be faster, cheaper, and better than some of the other alternatives. That's significant, especially when you think about Google, Meta, Amazon, all working on their own in-house chips as well.
All right. Thanks very much, Seema. Good to see you. Nice to have you here.
A record closing high today, up 2.5%, as hype around the company's AI chip demand continues to soar. Other names in the space also rallying, like ARM Holding, Marvell, ASML. Joining us now is Bernstein senior analyst Stacey Rasgon. Stacey, of course, we're going to ask you yet again a question about Nvidia here, but trading at record highs. Comments from Jensen Huang, the CEO, over the weekend about the strength of the moat, specifically where inferencing and software is concerned. I'd imagine you still got a buy on this name, right?
Sure do. I think I've said this before. I think at this point you still have to be there. Demand is off the charts. Numbers are going up. I think that's pretty clear. And then when you got Jensen, I think on your channel talking about insane demand. I mean, they're going to be selling everything that they can make. Yeah, I think you have to be there.
Okay. We've also got more proxies into, or bellwethers, I should say, into this AI semi-read when we get ASML and Taiwan Semi earnings later this week. How much do those matter here?
I think they'll matter. I mean, although I don't anticipate anything on the AI side as being unusual. The other proxies everybody watches for is like when the hyperscalers report the CapEx outlooks and those sorts of things. So just general signs that demand is strong and that customers are continuing to adopt. And again, everything we can see, at least at this point, suggests that's still a clear runway. It's clearly still happening.
Stacey, anything catch your eye about the difference in the trajectories of AMD and Nvidia just over the last few sessions? We just had Lisa Su on last week after we had Jensen on overtime the week before. And really, Nvidia has continued to surge since his insane demand comment. But really, it was kind of a sell the news-ish reaction to AMD's news.
So AMD had their event last week, and they announced their next generation part. It's called the MI325. It's basically the MI300 with more memory, which is fine. And they showed some benchmarks on it versus NVIDIA's what they call their Hopper, their H100 part, their current version. And AMD was sort of suggesting it was superior. And you always have to be a little careful with those self-reported benchmarks, but fine. The issue though is that Hopper was introduced a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and you got Blackwell, which is NVIDIA's next generation part, which is coming imminently. And I mean, it's going to blow the doors off of anything that's out there. And by the time by the time that AMD has something out that you could even argue was even partially competitive with Blackwell, which is the MI350, it's probably the end of next year. Like by then, we'll all be getting ready for NVIDIA's next generation part. Long story short, the gap between when NVIDIA is introducing capabilities, when AMD is introducing them, it's still pretty wide. It's at least a year, maybe longer. And that's just on the chip side. that ignores everything else around software and systems and ecosystem and everything else that you need to get broad adoption. And so I think that's why you saw the sell the news with the AMD event. It wasn't like it was a bad event. It was fine. It was good. It's good that they're putting it up, but compared to what they're fighting against, it's tough. Like, it's Nvidia's game to lose at this point. They're not showing any signs of losing it.
Now, at the same time, Nvidia is trading, more than 10 times the market cap of an AMD. So, if AMD does pretty well, I wonder, when's the last time we saw a moment like this where so many of the chip players are making more of a platform argument up front? You really have to think more about software. You have to think more about these systems. Lisa Su, AMD just made this acquisition, intending to make this acquisition of ZT in that direction. You can't just think about what are the performance metrics on this newest chip, right?
And that's absolutely true. It's not like anybody can sort of cherry pick specific examples where you're better or worse than anybody else. But it really does come down to ecosystem and adoption. And again, like you can get, given the capabilities that Nvidia has put in place, I mean, you can buy their stuff and you're up and running in days. And with a lot of their competitors' stuff, it could be weeks or months to get everything up and running properly. And like, time is money in this industry, so it absolutely matters. And you ask like whether other companies have like talked about this. I'd say software and ecosystem have been increasingly important pieces of semiconductor sales for a long time. And I mean, everybody sort of looked back at the days with Intel and Microsoft. They formed what was called the Wintel ecosystem that was pretty dominant in its days for a long time. It's starting to crack now, but these sorts of things, once they get established, they can last for a long time. And today the ecosystem of choice is Nvidia. So everybody else is trying to push into there.